Welcome back, Fragrance Fiend here, today doing a first impression of Rochas Man, released in 1999. Of course it's an EDT, the perfumer is Maurice Rochas, a really highly acclaimed perfumer. He's done over 150 I believe, and my favourite works of his actually are Lavender No. 18 by Le Labo and Musc Revigeur through Frederic Malle. I blind bought this well over a year ago. When you type in top 10 coffee scents, this is bound to pop up. It's a tiny bit of a rare note in perfumery and nobody can seem to really get that note right. So I ended up blind buying a ton of random coffee scents. Some I still haven't even cracked open yet. The only place you can actually find this in Australia is chemists and pharmacies. I personally feel like I'm a tiny bit more of a harsher critic when it comes to the cheap fragrances, but let's see what Rochas Man can offer us. So in the top you have a bit of a fougere opening of lavender and bergamot, followed by a heart of jasmine and raspberry wood, lastly with a base of vanilla and sandalwood. So the anticipation is actually killing me. After a whole year of not even caring, I actually really want to spray this now. Let's do an atomizer check first. It actually feels pretty good. Good dispersion as well. Now let's go in for the smell. I just realized I said the note breakdown, and on the site it doesn't say anything to do with coffee, even though it's highly regarded as a coffee scent. So in the opening I'm definitely picking up a ton of lavender mixed with the jasmine already. Bergamot is adding a tiny bit of a fresh kick to it, but nothing too crazy yet. The woods and vanilla are kicking in, but I'm not detecting any coffee or any variation of like a cappuccino or a mocha or whatever you want to call it. There is nothing coffee related about this fragrance whatsoever. I told myself if it was half as good as Coffee Break then I wouldn't be disappointed, but this is just not good. I actually really love the stylistic compositions of 90s and early 2000s perfumery. It's just so different to what you see today. Obviously this must have gone through various reformulations over time, but I can only really assume that this is a bit of a shadow of its former self. I mean, it's very smooth, almost powdery to some degree, very warm, and I can't really complain despite the price point, but it just doesn't feel real. There's nothing really convincing me that it is lavender or bergamot. Of course you wouldn't expect natural ingredients to be in a perfume at this price point, but perfumery has come a long way where you can accurately represent certain notes without having to go too crazy. It seems to be quite loved amongst a lot of people, but I'm not really getting much from it at all. To be honest, it doesn't smell like anything anyone over the age of even 13 would wear. Even in the dry down, it just reminds me of Play-Doh mixed with the early 2000s bullpen. Usually you're able to get pretty good projection and longevity out of these fragrances, but even now, a few minutes after I sprayed it, I can't really smell it from arm's length. This is pretty much the point that I can start smelling it at. So as I suspected, another flop while trying to find a good coffee scent. Anyway, I've heard there is an Intense, which might be an EDP version out now, and hope that actually delivers something a little more interesting than what we have here. I really wanted to like this one, because given the price and the no breakdown, I thought it would be actually half decent. I guess since it was released 24 years ago, maybe the company is just diluting it year after year while it clings on to relevancy based on its previous reputation. When I went to buy it, there weren't any testers, so that's pretty much $50 down the drain right there. Anyway, I feel like I've had a tiny bit of filler content recently as I have cycled through a few of my designers which I don't really put too much effort into, but I am currently filming a lot more in-depth reviews of my much loved niche collection and can't wait to share a lot of that with you opposed to this designer. Anyway, that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.